There's a point where, quite a lot of points, where SOPs and system design is boring, overwhelming, and disappointing. The dip in the middle of building out your business systems or your uh, professional systems. Um, yeah, I think that what keeps you coming back is those successes um, which have clearly made something work. I mean, the clearly solved a simple problem. The example that I brought up yesterday was this process which got a bit stagnant or a bit, you know, it just in practice over quite a long period of time, it was obvious that it wasn't that useful. This signature delegation thing, realized that I was being asked to sign off letters to get signed, with somebody else's signature. And it just didn't make any sense because I didn't know whether the details were correct in these documents. So it was just going through me for no reason. But at the end of the day, that process, which we figured out and we wrote down a while ago, quite a while ago, it's just worked great. For his main goal at that time was taking these many silly little documents that he doesn't need to see, but he does need to sign, or at least, his signature needs to be on there, whatever that means in this digital age. It's just a PDF, isn't it? Or PNG that you pop on the PDF. But anyway, so it worked for that. It took all of that off of the CEO's hands, and the process, by the way. So it involves getting all those things into getting all those letters that do go out with his signature into like a little registry, a table, to then be like a monthly or quarterly report of these are all the things that have gone out with your signature, with links to it and stuff. So he still maintains visibility over it, but he's just not thinking about that anymore. And that might be a good, think about that structure if you own your own business, or for whatever reason you're a bottleneck of things that are kind of inane and annoying, and you just want to get rid of. Think about delegating authority. In fact, maybe this video should be about that as opposed to about how SOPs are annoying, or can be annoying, and will be annoying at some point. This delegation thing is huge. Because a lot of the reason why everything bottlenecks up to one individual or through just a few individuals is that they are the ones who are willing to take on a certain amount of risk by assuming responsibility for something. People who are comfortable with authority, or are forced to be comfortable with authority because they just thought it would be a good idea at some point to build a business, and now they're in the middle of it and they've had to learn to just make all the decisions. But the point is that authority can and needs to be delegated at some point for a business to grow. And yeah, I don't own my own business, and yet it's something that I basically pushed and figured out because the CEO was just annoyed, was just getting pissed off. But then, like I said yesterday, I felt a little bit of why. It felt like it was just something was being put on me to check just so that I'm at fault, not because I know anything about the thing. And as I said, pushing back on that was it triggered delta brain and egos. So anyway, how should I tie this together? Yeah, this idea of delegating authority is a huge tip just to take away and try, especially if something little but annoying is happening Oh, I could add this, that think about it as I said, delta brain. The delta male uh, uh, pattern of behavior is they're really, really good within their station, but they are allergic to responsibility or doing things that feels like it's outside of their station. They freak out. So way to the way to get a delta or a delta like lady, I suppose, would be to get him to is to define for him exactly the extent of the authority, and he needs to needs to feel safe. It sounds so dumb. It sounds so woke or whatever, but it really is that they fear getting in trouble. They fear getting in trouble. They fear making a decision that will get them in trouble, and so um, they need to believe that that trouble has been removed. That trouble that they could be getting into has been removed because you've defined the authority that they can exert, and it is and if they follow that, then they're immune from getting in trouble. All right, but it's not as easy as all that, right? Yeah, the process mapping, all this stuff can can be overwhelming, especially in the middle of it. I mean, what I just described is one little bit, you know, of a lot of bits in a business. The one I'm working on now, again, is not mine, but it's very complex. Um, you know, it's a really good place to cut my teeth on this whole thing and try to learn how to do it for others. Is how do I do it for this company I'm currently working at? This, I don't know if you call it small. They say small to medium enterprise. I guess it would be a medium one. I don't know what the definition is though. With still a bit of more professionalism to develop within the departments, or even to figure out if departments really make sense. I mean, they do sometimes, but some work is very siloed, some work is scattered, is very much overlapping. People are overlapping, just doing this or that in order to get some results done, which is great. You want people who had that kind of attitude, but it's very overwhelming to think, I'm just going to write down systems for all of that. No, it's not. That's why I'm focused so much on the systems, with the meta systems, the systems that build the systems and maintain the systems and improve the systems. And so that is that's what I'm starting with, is my stuff and my direct reports stuff, and the meta stuff, the system that you know like I said, controls and develops and improves the system overall, because that can then hopefully be rolled out across the rest of the company. Um, yeah. So you just got to keep going. It's don't have something that really solves this issue. It's just know that it's I can get excited sometimes about systems, and I know other people can as well, because of the promise of all this annoying shit just being solved, basically, or you never having to do something again because you've written it down and you've handed it over to somebody. It's not always that simple, which is where the system that controls that houses the system needs to be in place to basically enforce that happens. But yeah, it is too much for one person, is what I'm trying to get at. It is too much for one person. And even even just your stuff is going to take a long time, and so do it alongside your work. And yes, it's going to slow you down a little bit, And yes, you do need to put in a little extra at the end to, you know, to get it more tidy. Because in order for it not to slow you down too much, you're just gonna dump ideas in and dump screenshots in, but all that stuff is valuable. You know, it's just you got a working title or whatever, and you're dumping stuff in as you work. You know, it's the path of least resistance is to not do any of this and just focus on getting the task done and then moving on, right? And what you just done is now kind of, you know, drifting into the mists of time because you didn't write anything down. So, you know, for what it can benefit you, which is long term, not having to do that thing again, or at least being able to do it much more efficiently because you've figured out once after writing it down, you figured out an improvement or whatever. Um, you know, the benefits are it's worth doing it. Just keep going until you're done, you know. What else can you do?